I want to really talk about white privilege because as a white man, 58 years old, I'm not really sure what white privilege is. Um, I've never had a silver spoon, golden spoon, platinum spoon, no spoon that hand fed me through life. I grew up poor, grew up outside of Washington, D.C., grew up in a high diversity um, neighborhood. My mother and father had 4 kids. An older brother, a younger brother, and a younger sister. We got the whatever you got in school to get free lunches. We grew up on that, even all the way through high school. So my family didn't have a whole lot of money, so I never saw any white privilege there. So I went into the military because that was my only way out. Growing up in Sarasota, Florida, at the age of 19 or 20, I realized, man, there's no jobs here for young people. Retirees took all the jobs. But I'm white, so I thought, hey, you know, you could give me a job. And that didn't happen. So I ended up going to the military because I couldn't afford to go to college. My family couldn't afford. I didn't even have a car in high school. I sat on the handlebars of a bike that my friend Darren pedaled to high school. Didn't have a car through high school. So you can see I didn't pick up many chicks because I didn't have any money. I didn't have a car. I couldn't afford to do anything. So when I graduated high school, I worked 2 jobs. I worked in a dietary department part-time, and I worked in a hospital full-time. I worked 2 jobs, and my job at the nursing home was $3.35 an hour. My job at the hospital was $5.75 an hour. I worked 6 days a week, and finally had the money to buy an old piece of shit 1968 Plymouth Satellite I bought for $400. And I drove it around until it fell apart. Then I brought a 1965 Buick Skylark for $150, or maybe $250, whatever. And then I decided that life in Sarasota wasn't for me. I needed to do something with my life. So I joined the United States Air Force in 1985. And got to travel the world. I was stationed in many states in the U.S. I got to live overseas. I did great. Still didn't see any white privilege, though. I didn't get handed stripes. I didn't get handed promotions. I didn't get handed anything other than the benefits you get when you're in the military. So when I get out in 1994, I went looking for a job. I was married, had a child. I had already been married, had 2 kids, got divorced, lost my 2 kids, and got remarried in 1992, and my youngest son was born in 1993. And I was in the military at the time, so yeah, that wasn't white privilege, that was military benefits. I didn't have to pay $25,000 to have a kid. So anyway, later on in life, I decided that I needed to get out of the military because it just wasn't working out. It's not good for married people, trust me. So anyway, when I got out, I was looking for my white privilege. I didn't find it. I got a job at Kmart making $8.25 an hour. This was in 1994. So the only reason I got the job was because the guy that hired me was ex-Army, and he loved military people, and I spent almost 10 years in the military, so that helped. It had nothing to do with my color or my skin. It was that I dedicated myself to something for 9 or 10 years. So once again, I'm still looking for my white privilege. So as I go on with life, I decided, I'll do this. I worked in loss prevention in retail, and eventually said, this isn't for me. I can't get anywhere, and got promoted into the retail side of the business. So, I did that, and this was in Florida, and I did it for a little while, and I moved up to Georgia, still working in loss prevention, and that's when I decided, hey, I got to get out of this loss prevention thing. It's a dead end job, and I got offered a promotion with the retail company going into the retail side of the business. So I don't, once again, see how that was a white privilege. It was just, I was a hardworking person, and I did the right things, and I earned respect from these people that had the power to promote me. So anyway, within 5 years, I was running my own store for this retailer. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. And being in the military, there was no racism. There was, not that I ever experienced, because I'm white, because white people can't experience racism. Only people of color can experience racism, and only white people get privilege. So as I progressed through the different stores, and I went to many stores in many different areas, many different demographical areas, and I decided in this one area, I was in North Atlanta, Sandy Springs, I believe I was at, and I made a decision to hire a black HR manager. So now the area that I was in was probably 90% white, maybe 6%, 8% Hispanic, and maybe 2% black, if that. But I hired a black female HR manager. And then as we're looking for help and taking in applications, all she's doing is hiring black people. No white people, no Hispanics, just black people. So I'm like, I had to sit down with her, and I said, hey, look, I said, you have to understand the demographics of the store that we're in. And I'm not saying these people are qualified or not qualified. It just seems to me that you're choosing a certain race. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, you feel more comfortable, I don't know what it is. So when I look about white privilege, I don't really think it's white privilege. I think it's about a cultural feeling. I think it's about comfortability. That whites feel more comfortable about whites, Hispanics feel more comfortable about Hispanics, Asians feel more comfortable around Asians, blacks feel more comfortable around blacks. It's not a racism thing, it's just a cultural thing. So she kept continuing to hire black people and wouldn't hire anybody else. So I sat her down, I said, look, I said, the demographics of this store are this. And I want you to actually hire the best qualified. I don't want you to look at race. I want you to look at an application. I want you to look at a resume. Before you bring the people in and interview them, I want you to get with me and make a decision on, okay, we're going to talk to this person or we're not. So once we started doing that, she didn't like the decision that I made, and she asked to be transferred. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So living in Atlanta, and if you've ever lived in Atlanta, and if you've ever been to downtown Atlanta, Atlanta is the New York of the South. So if you've ever been to the Atlanta airport, which is a great airport, don't get me wrong, they run that shit tight. I have no issues. But a majority of the employees are black. And I will put my money saying that the hiring managers at these facilities are black. And they only hire their own culture because that's where they feel comfortable. You will not go to Atlanta Airport and find a whole lot of white people working there unless they're either airline attendants or pilots. That's it. Check me. I don't care. Check me. And just like this girl that I hired at the store I worked at would just hire people of her own race because that's where she felt comfortable. Did I feel she was racist? If she was white and I was black, I would say yes. But I think it's a cultural thing. I think that she was doing what she felt was comfortable. She wanted to be around more of her own culture. And white people feel that way, Asians feel that way. And when you turn around and you look at our country, when you look at our cities, you have Asian communities, you have Mexican or Hispanic communities, you have black communities. People feel more comfortable around their own culture. It's not a racism thing unless it's a white person doing this. So when I talk about white privilege, I want to know where mine is. I really do want to know where white privilege, where I have benefited from it, where I get it from, because I used to be a big sports fan, and I used to love watching football, American football, not that soccer bullshit. But you look at the NBA, you look at the MLB, and you look at the NFL, and a majority of the players are people of color. However, a majority of the owners and the quarterbacks and the coaches are white. So the people of color are claiming white privilege because these people are in the dominant positions and the people of color are not. So I'm like, okay, so if that is what you call white privilege, name me one white deep safety, name me one white cornerback, name me one white wide receiver, name me one white running back. There's certain abilities that people have, whether it is physical, mental, educational, or discipline. People have certain abilities. So people complain that there's too many white coaches, there's too many white owners, there's too many white quarterbacks. But if you look at these leagues, should it be fair that there should be so many Asian, so many Hispanic, so many whites playing the positions of running back, defensive back, deep safety, wide receiver, to make it even across the board? No, it's about talent and ability. I have no issue with anybody with talent that can play a position, but it's a proven fact, just like, because I'm an NFL person. Most black quarterbacks don't make it in the league because of one reason. They're runners and they're ball hogs, just like in basketball, whatever. They are not strategic. Their first instinct is to run. Not throw the ball, not read the defense, not do any of that. It's to run. So sometimes you have to admit that the white quarterbacks are better at the position. White coaches, don't know. Maybe whites are better at strategic things and planning. I don't know. I'm just saying, if you're going to make the rules to where you have to have so many people of color coaching, quarterbacking, owning, then you should make the same rules for these positions that blacks dominate. That's all I'm saying. You want to talk about white privilege, there is black privilege. Privilege. You're privileged because you have the talent. Okay? So when you look at a lot of these folks, especially, and the reason I bring up African Americans or blacks or whatever you want to be called, is you're the only ones that call out racism. You're the only ones that call out white privilege. But when you start making your money and you start getting into the big dollars, the first place you do is move into a white neighborhood. You don't move into the hood and try to better the hood and get the gangs and the prostitutes and the drugs and the drive-by, all that shit. No, you move into a white. Why? Because it's safer. That's not a white privilege. That's just respect amongst your people and your neighbors. Blacks just have a history of violence, whether it be in their motherland. Look what goes on over in the motherland. Genocide, hunger, greed, fighting, rape, everything. And look at the major cities. Take the top 20 highest crime cities in the United States and tell me if they're dominated by whites or they're dominated by people of color. So does that mean that I have white privilege because I live in a neighborhood that doesn't have crime? No. That means you people need to respect your own people, because you have no respect for yourself, you have no respect for your own people, and you damn sure don't have any respect for anybody outside of your color. That's the bottom line. You can sit and argue with it all you want. Then you want to talk about reparations. Reparations for what? You have the same ability to succeed as anybody else does. I was never handed anything in my fucking life. And I'm white. You know, the guy with white privilege. I'm still looking for it. I'm like, what the fuck? Where is my shit? All this shit y'all are talking about, I'm looking for it. I ain't seen it. But I'm not out shooting my neighbor. I'm not out dealing drugs in my neighborhood. I'm not out worrying about who stepped on my tennis shoe. I'm not spending $200 on a pair of tennis shoes but can't afford to pay my fucking rent or my utility bills. How is that white privilege? It's about self-respect and respect for people, period. You sit and you watch the YouTube videos. Watch them all day long. You see shit, people getting their shit kicked out of each other, and black people are fucking hooting and hollering and video. Nobody's stepping in to help. They're hooting and hollering, yeah, no, using the N-word, whatever. And that's another thing I like to talk about. The N-word. You people that bitch about a white person using the N-word, whether they're joking or not. If you don't like the word, don't give me this shit. It's a form of fucking respect and fuck you. It's a negative word that nobody should use, period. It's a racial term that came up during slavery, and it should be abolished by any human using the word. Just like chink, wop, whatever it is. You shouldn't be able to say it. And anybody that says it should be canceled, blocked, fired, whatever. Nowadays, only white people are fucking accused of this shit and getting fired on a daily basis. And is that white privilege? Oh, me losing my fucking job, that must be a privilege. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Because I said somebody looked like this. Or I used the N-word singing a song at a concert, like the girl that got up on stage and sang a song just repeating the lyrics of the singer, and the N-word was in it, and they booed her and chastised her. Fuck you. You don't like the word, don't use it. Y'all fucking use it every day. You fucking talk to it like it's fucking third string. And learn how to speak English. Okay? Finna. All this fucking stupid shit y'all say. Speak fucking English. Alright? You people do whatever you have to do to separate yourselves from the rest of society. Okay? You have a guy named David. You have to come with DeVito. You have a guy named Alan. You have the Aliendo. You have to come up with all this shit just to be different. Okay? Knock it off. Just fucking get along, man. Just fucking do the right thing. And it's so sickening that you talk about white privilege when black people are the most racist people I have ever met. And I spent 4 years in the Philippines, and I have never seen people treat people like shit that I saw blacks treat Filipinos in their own country. I swear to God, I lived there for 4 years, and I was embarrassed. The same people that bitched about how they're treated those people like total shit. It was embarrassing. It was really embarrassing. As an American, because I was stationed with these people. Okay? So, stop giving me the bullshit about white privilege, because there is no such thing. Blacks are just as racist as anybody else. And if you want to really look at things, people are cultural. Okay? Asians stick together, Hispanics stick together, blacks stick together, white. That's not racism. That's comfortability. That's just people feel more comfortable around their own people. You're going to ask me, do you have any black friends? Nope. Have any white friends? Nope. You know what? My friends are family and people that I respect and have a kinship for. I don't give a fuck what color you are. You're an asshole. I don't like you. And some people just act like assholes. And I deal with people every day. I deal with hundreds of people of all different races every single day. All different cultures and countries every single day. Deal with it. Have no problem with them. And I've really never had an issue with anybody treating me like shit. I just see the shit on the news. I see it on YouTube and all that bullshit. So I've never really had an issue with anybody. I've been called cracker. Hell, I was called the N-word as a manager when I worked at a retailer. But because this lady started yelling at one of my cashiers, and I threw her out of the store, and she called me the N-word. I'm like, I've never heard that before, but okay, whatever. But it was just instinct for her. It was a cultural thing. I didn't call her a racist. She didn't call me a cracker, which I don't even know what that means. Honky. And one of the greatest shows on TV, the biggest laughs were George Jefferson using the word honky. That was funny as fuck. Oh, white man says it. Archie Bunker, oh, you're a racist. You know? So you think about respect. Start in your own home. Start in your own yard. Start in your own neighborhood. And start having respect for yourself. Start having respect for your neighbors. Start having respect for your neighborhood. Start having respect for your city. Start having respect for your county. Start having respect for your state. And start having respect for your country. You fuckers that take your knee during the national anthem, yeah, fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Okay? You wait till you get all your money, then all of a sudden you talk shit. But when you go all the way back and look where that money came from, it came from probably a white guy or a white woman. All right? Lastly, there's two people in this world that I despise the most. And you're going to shit your pants. Actually, three, but one is kind of minor. Being in retail, there's the customer I hate the most is old white men. I just can't deal with them. They're just whatever. Number two is fat, ugly, dyke, useless, non-working white women that have nothing better to do with their time than get involved in all the shit on the planet and just disturb shit. Look at it. Go back and look at everything that you see being dug up and all this shit you going on. I guarantee you there's an ugly ass, fat, dyke white woman behind it. Oh, and lastly, ghetto ass black women with the long nails, the big ass eyelashes, the fucking weave in their hair, ghetto talking pieces of shit. I don't know how you black men deal with them. And I completely understand why you go for women and other races. Because I could never, ever deal with that. People wonder why they don't see as much white men with black women. Fucking look. Look at the way they act. Loudmouth pieces of shit. That's why those white women, the fat, ugly bitches, are alone. They got nothing better to do with their time. So you black dudes that like those skank-ass ghetto hoes, whatever, man. I don't know. But in all, there is no white privilege. Don't care what you think or what you say. There is no white privilege. If there is, then you have to sit and think about the areas that you live in and the people that you hire and your businesses and your governments. Look at politicians, look at whoever. They hire people of their own race because it's a cultural, comfortable thing. It's not, I don't consider it racism. It may be, if it was a white person, you would say it was. But any other culture does it. It's that's just the way it is. So I say to all you fucking people out there that can't live as humans and can't get along as one people and accept the fact that there is no white privilege, there is no privilege, it's cultural and comfortability. If you can't believe that, then hey, fuck you.